room. Let's admit all of them. Let's get everybody inside. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. This is amazing. We have so many people joining us. Everyone's joining in left and right. Everyone wants to see you, Kalpnaben. This is awesome.
Thanks to you and Meena Choksi.
Yes. No, yes. Thank you. Thanks to everybody and everything that you're going to be sharing with us today.
Her persistency has no limit, I tell you.
Oh my gosh, yes. She's been amazing.
She is one of a kind.
Yeah. Yes.
Is she on?
Let me see. I don't see her full name, Meena Choksi, but there is a Meena.
There are going to be many Meenas.
Yeah, so there is one Meena. I don't know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
But as people
there will be Veena and Meena and Veena.
Oh, Veena.
Yes, my old buddy.
Yep.
Yes.
Right. So as people are joining in.
Hi, Kalpnaben, Minal here.
Oh, Minal.
So excited to see you.
Hey, good to see you too.
Yes.
Hi, Meena. Hi, Kalpna. Look good.
I'm glad you remember my name. After many years.
Yep.
As everybody.
Kalpnaben. Hello,
Kalpnaben. Hi.
Kem cho?
Dev Guru Krupa. Fantastic.
Perfect. You look great.
Thank you. I feel great.
That's great.
That's
what it needs to be.
Exactly.
Hi, Kalpna.
She's from Miami.
Good luck.
Hi, Kishori. Oh, Rita Akshay. Hi.
Hi. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We will get started. If everyone doesn't mind going on mute, please, that would be fantastic. So we can have the floor.
Hello.
Kalpna,
Hi, Kalpna, Jyoti.
Hi, Kalpna and Dilip and Rita. Saying hi.
Can you mute them?
Hi, Kalpna.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Kalpna from Las Vegas.
Hey, how are you? Good to hear from you.
All right, I've muted everybody. Sorry about that. This way we could get started. Kalpnaben, if you want to unmute yourself, feel free to do that. There we go.
I just did.
Thank you, everybody, for joining in. And welcome to What's Your Story? I am the life coach millionaire, Dr. Varun Gandhi. Today's guest is Kalpna Shah in Living Alone and Liking It. Alone, Akela, eklo, solo. How many people fear this word? Especially when we are so dependent on someone for so long. And then suddenly they're no longer there. You know, I once had a relationship with a partner in which we were both very dependent on each other. Within 2 short years, we got so close to each other. So that when this 2-year relationship ended, I was all alone. I didn't have that support anymore. You know, there were days where I would wake up and tears would be rolling down my eyes. And this happened for an extended period of time, and I was really miserable. And all of those experiences ultimately led to my spiritual evolution. You know, and through this whole process, I was taught many lessons. The most important being that we all have a choice in how we view the situation. It's our experiences, our memories that shape our worldview and our perspective on life and every situation that we come across. It's actually the stories that we tell ourselves. We can either say that I'm alone and cry about it, or we could say, yay, I'm alone, and have fun about it. So this painful experience in my life brought me here to this day, speaking with Kalpnaben on this show called What's Your Story? This show is about inspiring and encouraging the Indian youth, women, and men to live a better life, a successful life, through the experiences and stories of people who have lived through this pain, through this suffering, the distress, and they themselves have overcome it. So everybody that's watching on Facebook, on YouTube, please. Everybody that's joining, if you don't mind, please mute yourself.
They are from India.
Wonderful. Thank you. If you have, when we take questions later on, I will ask to unmute yourself, and then we can, hear from you. So everybody that's on Facebook, on YouTube, please like this video. Please hit the subscribe button and type in the comments below. So today we're gonna talk to Kalpnaben. Who is Kalpnaben? She is a psychology major with a sociology minor. People say that she's a born leader, and she has been very active in the Jain community. She loves counseling to help improve your relationships with your loved ones and on several other issues. Welcome, Kalpnaben. It's a pleasure to have you on this show.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Varun, Dr. Gandhi. Thank you for giving me this platform to reach out my fabulous single females. Before I move forward, what happened here? Can you hear me? Dr. Gandhi?
Yes, Kalpnaben, we can
Yes,
hear you.
yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Before I move forward, I am forever grateful to Bhagwan Mahavir and my guru, Puja Girish Bhai, my mentor, my guide, and my well-wisher, without whom I would not be where I am today. And all of this is possible only because of my Jain Center of Southern California. My JCSC has provided my social and my emotional needs, as well as uplifted my spirituality. I share my journey with blessings of my guru, Sri Girish Bhai. People talk about cancer, COVID, heart attack, diabetes, and now vibrant. And there are plenty of resources to get help and stay healthy. Of course, physically. But for some reason, in our society, there is very little, or practically, there is no way to get much help for a single person as to how to cope up with unfamiliar situation. You are single by choice, by distance, or by faith. That does not matter. I was married for 35 plus years. And now I'm single for 15 years. What's my story? For last 15 years, living alone and liking it. At first, I had a fear that how am I going to survive living alone? I did not fill up the gas in my car, neither I made my morning tea for myself, let alone balancing a budget or making a payment, paying taxes, utilities, whatnot, in 35 years. So yes, it was overwhelming. Another fear I came across to my mind, that how am I going to survive in this couple-oriented society? Would people want to be distant from me? Is this going to be a social suicide in this Western world for me? I was lucky enough to have great support from my family and my friends, who encouraged me and helped me to live the same social life as before.
Wow, those were some very, you've struggled a lot through this whole journey. Some of the things that you couldn't do at the very beginning, you taught yourself and you were able to do these things. What messages were your family, friends, or society giving you after you became single? Were they supportive?
Let me give you one simple example that anybody can relate in their life. I remember that I did not want to go to this our regular New Year's Eve party, alone for the very first time. They came to my house when I was sitting on a couch watching TV in my
મારી
PJs.
બેડની પછાડી છે. મારી બેડની પછાડી છે.
What's that?
Go ahead. Just a minor disturbance.
That's okay, no problem. And ever since, they have never left me alone, in spite of my resistance to go on the New Year's Eve, until now, yet. God bless my friends. What can I say for my family? I am blessed with their love and their kindness. My kids, Rina and Rikin, are my backbone. Though it took me a while. One fine morning, I woke up and told myself that if it has to be, it is up to me. Okay. But what? And how? My loneliness showed up in many different ways in my life. The pain that I had gone through has made me more sensitive about people. And I was quite aware of that. I don't have control over my feelings, but I do have control over how I think and how I react to it. It had serious impact on my health. After many questions, lots of confusions, and many countless sleepless nights, I finally decided that I do not want to go in a grave of depression. It took a lot out of me.
Wow, that must have been quite an experience, Kalpnaben.
Yes, that has taught me a lot.
So let's talk about that. What skills did you have to develop when you were transitioning from this dependence to independence?
Good question. Like you said, life is a learning process. I promised myself that I will do whatever it takes to take care of myself, physically, financially, socially, and most importantly, emotionally. I looked online for help and I gathered all my courage to go for counseling. Trust me, this was a huge step to take. Luckily, one good counselor who came in my life as an angel. Now, I think, what if I would have given up on myself? Where would I have been? My dear friends, whoever you are listening to this, I tell you that cannot be an option for anybody at any given time. Slowly and steadily, I built a solid confidence in myself through a solo ventures, like learning to do things which I never did. I realized that self-reliance is the most important ingredient in a successful life being alone. A sense of being complete, a whole within myself, did not come overnight. It requires patience and self-awareness. Whether you are young or old, who lives alone can capitalize on the maximum opportunities for self-worth. However, it took a lot of efforts. All that is possible because of my guru, Shri Girish Bhai. At my Jain Center of Southern California, during his Swadhyay, he made me realize the inner strength that I had, and that has made me stand out and is helping me achieving my goal. And that is, happiness is within. Journey towards the self. Soul is pure, full of peace and bliss. Honestly, knowing that I have complete control over the way I choose to live, miserable or happy, has given me a sense of power, which I never thought possible. Of course, I had great support from and encouragement from my 35 years of happy memories. Now, I'm at the stage in my life that I see the situations differently. To come home to peace and quiet, to collect my thoughts and freely able to think are the blessings of single but strange lifestyle. Learning to live alone is like climbing a mountain. It takes a breath out of you, I tell you. But once you reach the top, the view is great. Now, let me tell you the other side of living alone. I felt few times frightened enough to believe that I cannot possibly face life alone. But with self-awareness, I realized that these feelings will pass too. It will pass too. Since taking care of myself is an acquired skills, requires determination, devotion, dedication, self-reliance, and self-awareness, and self-commitment. I would like to share a few points which has helped me to get my life back.
So, Kalpnaben, actually, before you share those points, I would like to ask you a question. You mentioned multiple times self-awareness. Can you discuss, can you talk about what that means to you and maybe share an example?
Yes. What do I mean by self-awareness? I need to be fully aware of myself, my goal, and my commitments to myself in a day-to-day life's events. Let me give you an example. If you are at a party discussing politics, which is very common everywhere you go to, people do, but someone tries to pull you down strongly, at that time, if you are aware of the commitment to yourself, then you would choose to make a choice. You would make a choice to respond rather than react to that without letting him or her touch your emotional status. Meaning, you talk with respect, but with confidence. And I tell you, it will work. It will work.
I love that example. That's a very good, self-awareness is a really good tool that even I've found in my personal life. Sometimes I find myself just in day-to-day life, I come in a certain mood and I become mean to my wife, to people around me, especially my wife, because I spend the most time with her. And I find that it's for no good reason. I just become mean for no good reason. So in the ways that I respond to her condescendingly, or just become mean to her. And when I'm in that phase, I immediately become self-aware of that behavior. And because I become self-aware, I actually prevent further damage, because it can become really, really damaging if you're not self-aware of those patterns. So thank you for that explanation of self-awareness. I think it's really important. Now let's get on to the 11 points.
Okay. Point number 1. I always remind myself that me and myself are always together. I focus on what I love to do the most, like take a short walk in the nature, or I find greater joy in listening to the loud music. I mean, it makes me very happy. I don't need anybody for that. I don't feel lonely. That may be different for different people. Again, I learned this from my guru, Sri Girish Bhai, in our Swadhyaya at Jain Center of Southern California. If you understand Gujarati, let me tell you, તમે એકલા હોય અને એકલતા લાગે તો સંસાર, અને એકલા હોય ને એકતા લાગે તો મોક્ષ. That means if you feel happy by being yourself without any outside force or validation from anybody, that means you are in heaven. And that's what I mean. Me and myself is always happy. No problem. Point number 2. I try to see my aloneness as it is part of my life, but only part of my life. I would not let it consume me to totally destroy me. Point number 3. I learn to accept my aloneness as potentially permanent condition of my life. It may be different for different people. Again, I learned this from Pujya Girish Bhai. He always says in our regular Swadhyaya that anything and everything comes in your life, accept it. It's called Sahaj Svikar. Sahaj Sarva Svikar. Whatever happens, once you accept that situation, then instead of whining, you become solution seeker. And that's what one need to do, become a solution seeker. And only you can do that by learning on yourself. Point number 4. Hang in there. There are going to be 10 more points, total 10 points. I acknowledge my circumstances and make commitment to myself to succeed from the start.
Kalpnaben, what do you mean by succeed from the start?
What do I mean by succeed from the start? Let me tell you. In fact, this just recently happened to me about a couple of weeks ago. After a long year of staying home, not meeting friends or anybody, now that we all our friends have 2 shots of vaccines, COVID vaccine, and we decided, why don't we meet and go out for a lunch? I said, oh, go for it. I'm all for it. And then I thought, since I'm going, might as well I run some errands, finish my work and whatnot. And I was happy. Everything was fine, all set. And on that particular day in the morning, I don't know why, when I woke up, I had a good night's sleep though. When I woke up, I felt lousy. And I told myself that today I'm not going to do anything, just stay home and be lazy, stay in the bed. Maybe in the evening I'll order pizza Dominoes. And I stayed in the bed. Then I remembered that circumstances, yes, that I feel lousy. But what about my commitment to myself? If I call my friends that I'm not coming, that's fine. It was not on one-on-one. We were in a group to go. So that would have been okay, I guess, But I remember that I committed to myself that I am going and I'm going to finish run my errands and everything. Within few minutes, I got out of the bed. I focused on my commitment. I got ready and I went for a lunch. I had a great time. And at the end of the day, I felt so good for myself. And I said, Kalpna, pat on your shoulder. And I did, honestly, I did it. Why? Because, yes. Why? Because I committed myself and I respect my commitment to myself. So the point is, from the morning, I decided that I am going to succeed to do whatever I had planned to do for the whole day. And that's what I mean. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, that's a really great example. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing that. On to number 5.
Thank you. Even now, I remind myself that I am the first and the last resource for my own happiness. Let me give you an example. My kids live close, but they are far. They are far, but they are close. They are in my heart, but they are not near me. Now, I get to choose that. How do I see? As happiness or unhappiness? When they are down, I am down. When they are up, I am up. And I know I cannot go up and down with them. I have spent lots of energy working on this. I understand that my happiness cannot define my kids' happiness. I still struggle with this even today. So what I do is now, when we meet, we have good time together, and they have good time together. I give them my 100%, and so do they. And we go out for lunch, dinner, talk what happened in their life, and we go for a walk and have a good time. But when they leave, I realized that they have their life and I have my life. And I am the first and last resource of my own happiness. I cannot sit home and cry for them. Oh my God, I miss them. What do I do now? No, I'm learning. Progress is in work.
Every day is that progress, right? So you're kind of talking about being detached from your sons. So when you're detached, does that mean that you don't love them?
No, I don't mean that way, Dr.
Okay.
Gandhi. What I mean by detaching them, I love them before when they were in my tummy. Since that day, I love them the same way. But the thing is, I realized that they came in this world through me, but they are not part of me. They have their own identity. And of course, I realize that. I know that, but it takes time to detach that thing, that let them be in the world, let them be happy, and I need to live my life. I give them value when there was a time. I taught whatever I could when there was a time. Now they are out in the world. So that is what I mean by detaching. Of course, I love them with all my heart. They are my life.
I wanted to bring that up because I think that's a really key point of detachment from somebody. and talking about how it's not related. It doesn't lessen the love. It's just that their actions don't affect us, and we're keeping that, keeping a one step between us and them. So I think that key phrase of detachment, because as Indian parents, we are, in a way, we're attached to somebody, we're attached to our kids. So this is, and in the same way with the kids to the parents, they're attached to each other. I think there's something very valuable over there of detachment. So that's why I wanted to go deeper into that. But go ahead, on to point number 6.
Thank you. Thank you. Especially like you said, our Indian community, our life is for our kids. We don't tell them at 15 or 16, you get out of the house and live your life and manage your money and whatever. So
Nice.
This is detachment, yet you love them same way. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Point number 6. Excuse me. I always tell myself that things may be overwhelming at times, but it will not be always so. And we have experienced that. Year 2020, we all were prisoners of COVID. Now, at that time, we could not even go to get grocery for the basic needs. And now, we are not totally out, but at least we are better than that. So when there are things going on in your life, remember, it will not be always so. Point number 7. This is very important. Very, very important for everybody, and especially for single people. Listen carefully. Know that living alone can be a mixture of freedom, fear, anxiety, instability, loneliness, and peace. And there are tools to get help for each of these pieces to utilize. It can be different for different people. Like for me, when I feel unstable, first thing I think is, who should I call who would understand me? Things don't happen to us. We have to change our attitude and our habits and make the right choices. Once you change your habit, I tell you honestly, nothing is difficult, let alone being impossible. This is interesting. I have to share with you guys this experience because it's happened day before yesterday only. I got to share with you guys. You can laugh later on. The other day, on Saturday, I went to a friend's house for dinner. And after, when I was on my way out, he told me that, Kalpna, your front tire is low. I said, okay, thank you. Next day morning, I went to Costco, filled up the air, and I needed to fill up the gas also. So I did that. And that's it. And that was the end of the story. I was done. But talking about habit, remember, if the same situation would have happened a few years back, I would have thought, oh my God, what am I going to do without car? Do I need to take an appointment with the dealer? I might have to change my tire. I don't know what to do. But today, end of story. No problem, nothing done. Why? Because I decided to change my habit, because I wanted to be independent. I changed my attitude and I made right choices in my life, which is not, it's easy for me to say right now. I only know what I have gone through to make changes. But if you do decide, I tell you, nothing is impossible. You can make it. And it does happen. It does work. Point number 8. Identify each fear as precisely as possible by its name, and by its nature.
Kalpnaben, what do you mean by identify the fear and label it?
Not label it, realize it.
Realize it.
How can I say that? Okay. It might sound silly to you right now, but this is a fact of life, of my life. From childhood, I had a fear of darkness. And when I started living alone in the beginning, I used to leave all the kitchen lights on all night. And in each bathroom and each room, night lights on, big enough to read. But now, I don't do it anymore. Why? Because I identify my fear by the name and I worked on it. If I would have said that, oh my God, how am I going to work it out? I don't like to live alone. What am I going to do? How am I going to manage? No, identify each fear. If you are afraid of your financial situations, focus on one thing, on that. Work on that. Get help if you need to. Trust me, you will manage it so well.
I love that example. I love that example, Kalpnaben. It's very simple and very accurate and straight to the point. What do you have for point number 9?
Point number 9. I recognize that while I can expect help from my family and my friends, but most of the important work has to be done by me alone. Most of the important work, I'm responsible for it. Last point, hang in there, not much to go. Then we'll go into questions. I must assume responsibility for everything. Again, starting from maintaining my car to balancing my passbook. Though it was really difficult for me to do, I never ever did any balancing in my house. I never knew what I have in my pocket. How much money do I have? Nothing. It sounds funny, but I used to work for the bank for about 25 years. And I did balance my customers' passbook. For me, yeah. So it was a little bit tough in the beginning. But then again, coming back to the same points as I repeat myself, commitment to yourself, focus on your goal, do it, things can happen, and it will. And now the last point, last but not least. Initially, I found difficulty adjusting living alone. But I learned to arrange my day-to-day life in a more satisfying way to prevent boredom and not to dwell on my problems, which could have driven me into deep solitude.
So
I tell you, go ahead.
In one sentence, what advice would you give our viewers for living alone?
Manage your freedom, meaning don't get bored, avoid boredom, manage your freedom. And learning to manage your freedom is extremely important. Otherwise, you can mess up your life because there is, no kids, no job, no work, nobody to report to, nothing. Why? And you can make a big mess out of it.
Basically have all the time in the world to do anything you please. And that's the freedom that you have to manage.
Exactly.
That's such an important lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And now, the remaining question is, how can I effectively compensate for the absence of another person in my life? Well, the fact is, being alone will be painful, no matter how well adjusted and how well prepared you are. At times, it is normal to feel low, normal to feel down, normal to feel sad. Let it out. Let it be. I learn to allow myself. I learn to allow myself in that mood with deadline, which could be for an hour or two, or if needed, for a day or two. But by that time, by the deadline, I respect my own commitment to myself that I do whatever it takes for me to get out of those dark clouds. And it works. Stick to your commitment again. Go ahead.
No, that's a very key lesson. Stick to your commitment. What's the biggest lesson you learned while living alone?
Avoid boredom. I can repeat, avoid boredom. For anybody living alone, yes. But even if you are together, two people, still avoid boredom. For me, what I used to do, I used to engage myself in a meaningful activities that are much more rewarding. Like for me, I love to do anything and everything for animals' welfare. I would like to be a voice for voiceless. I did all I could to enhance my self-esteem. I concentrated on presenting an attractive appearance. I learned to pamper myself. Actually, I spoiled myself. I really spoiled myself many times. How? Went for shopping, buy the stuff, not that I needed, just made me feel good. So go ahead and do it. And I did it and made me feel good. So I think that should be okay too. Also, what I used to do, I used to make a list of things that made me feel good, like make a routine for exercise, find a walking buddy, meditation, join a spiritual group to uplift your spirit, or join social group, or create playing cards group, or create book club, whatever works for you to avoid boredom. Does it make sense, Dr. Gandhi?
That makes perfect sense. I love all of those examples that you gave. And even avoiding boredom is such an important kind of aspect of life, because once we start becoming bored, our mind starts to wander and goes in different places. And then, it's like you're kind of wasting that the energy that you use to wander your mind. So I love all of those examples.
Correct. And that creates a lot of problems. Like mind has a direct connection with the body, and it can bring one after another disease to us. So if you can stop it right there from the mind, you are fine. In the beginning, I forced myself to be with the people part of the time. Again, I tell you, my dear friends, this is for everybody. Too much time alone is not good for anybody. Anybody, I would say. No matter the reason being alone, remember, I have a right to be happy. Again, I have a right to be happy.
Kalpnaben, what do you mean by that? I have the right to be happy.
Oh, I learned this. A friend of mine has taught me this. His name is Kate. And I will never forget this. It's already in all my bones in my body. I have a right to be happy, because the way he explained to me, that's it. That's the end of my new beginning. What I mean by, in our society, people look down on a single person. I mean, forget about people, but the person himself or herself feels down for themselves because they are single. Why? If you look down on yourself, our society is such, they will make sure that you stay down. if you reject yourself, nobody will accept you. That is why I keep on repeating myself again and again. You need to focus on your goal and make right choices in your life by going and making changing to right attitudes and habits. And that is what I mean by you have a right to be happy. And if you follow all these 10, 11 points that what we just discussed, it will take you right there.
Now, I have a quick question. So you mentioned that your married friends sometimes would bring you down, or people in the society would sometimes bring you down. Sometimes you yourself would bring you down. So related to that, did your married friends feel threatened to invite you for different events, for different occasions?
It is possible. In my case, no, because they know who I am, and what are my ethics and what are my guidelines. They know me like for many, many, many years. Inside, they know me inside out, which I'm talking about my regular groups. Even other people also know. But as a single person, you need to be very, very careful about how you behave when you go out. You cannot be naive. You need to be very, why are you smiling?
You know,
Did
you
I say
said
something
naive.
not right?
No, you've said perfectly right, but you said naive, and that actually I thought about something, because when we first talked about doing this session, you had given this example of how you were being naive. Can I share that? Would you be okay? It's a very personal, I know, but would you be okay if I share it?
Which one are you talking about?
The example where you were yes,
Oh.
that one.
Oh my God.
Would you be okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess people, single female, can get some idea from that. Yeah.
Okay. I'll share it. Thank you.
I never thought of that. Ooh,
I know.
okay.
I remember it. You said naive, and I just suddenly remember it. So this is an example. So what happened is
real thing, not example.
Yeah, no, real story. So Kalpnaben was at a grocery store, and she was walking outside in the parking lot, and she kind of made eye contact with somebody, with a lady.
Indian.
Indian lady. So she made eye contact, not Gujarati, but an Indian lady. And Kalpnaben saw that she was kind of sad and she had something in there. So they kind of just started talking like, hey, how are you? And then Kalpnaben asked her more questions because she could read her face and see that she was really kind of sad and down. And there was some story behind it. So Kalpnaben kind of asked some more questions. And little did she know that one hi ended up being 2 hours of conversations right there in the parking lot. And they got really close to each other. And at the end of that 2-hour conversation, they shared their contact information that, hey, let's get in touch later. And so then over time, they started talking to each other. And then her husband and the wife, both of them, the lady and her husband, came over to Kalpnaben's house. They were just sharing and talking. And all of it was related, the unhappiness was related to a personal issue in that lady's life. It was some relationship with the son. And so Kalpnaben was helping them out through this whole process and this whole relationship with their son. And then suddenly the wife, the lady, she started becoming a little more happier and cheerful. But then one day the husband gave Kalpnaben a call. And Kalpnaben in her mind was thinking, oh, this is related to the son. So, and he has some issues. So, hey, he said, I wanted to come over. So he came. So Kalpnaben said, it's okay, you can come over. And so then Kalpnaben asked him, so what's the issue with your son? And then this guy said, oh, I'm not here to talk about my son. I want to talk about something personal that I'm having issues with my wife. I feel very lonely. And then he started asking Kalpnaben, what do you do when you feel lonely at home, when you're alone at nighttime in bed? And at that time, it struck Kalpnaben that this is not going in the right direction, that there was some ulterior motive there. And Kalpnaben at that point, she understood where he was going. So he said, she pointed to the door. The door is right there, please leave. And he said, no. please let me finish my story. And that time Kalpnaben she wasn't having any of this. So she started calling for her son. And she called her son's name, Rikin. But she was all alone at home. No one was there. The son wasn't there. But she just acted as if he was there. So she said, Rikin. And then the guy said, oh no, okay, I'm gonna leave. And so she opened the door and he walked out. And in this time, Kalpnaben said, okay, Rikin, don't worry, don't come out, it's okay. He wasn't there. So this whole story, Kalpnaben, what's the message that you want to share?
At first, I was frightened. When even today, right now, while you're talking, it just reminds me the whole situation. It was overwhelming. And what my message is to all the women, all the single ladies, never ever call, first of all, number one, call anybody at home. If you need to talk, go to Starbucks, go outside, meet them outside, number one. Number two, don't be naive. Don't be gullible. The world is not what you think. The way you think the people are the same way, they are thinking that way. No, the world is not that way. Not that easy, not that simple. So my message is, number one, don't show them your house. Number two, don't be naive. Don't take them as face value. Get deeper into it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that was a really great life story that we got to share. Thank you so much for being open to it. I know it's being vulnerable and being, but yeah, no, thank you so much. So if you have any other questions, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, definitely. If you have any other questions from the audience, please feel free to type in the chat or unmute yourself and you can ask Kalpnaben any questions that you may have. Let's see, there are some questions in the audience. We have some comments. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kalpnaben.
Yes.
You said in the beginning that you had the psychological background and studies, education. You think this would have helped you? This has helped you in.
Let me answer you straight. Yes, it did in a way, because they teach you how other person is thinking in that way. More so, you learn from your life. But there is a little help there to start in the beginning. It can help you. What are the hurdles you go through? How you think? How you want to deal with people? How you communicate with people? And when you do, give them a chance to think and talk. Just don't keep on talking. Listen. Those kind of skills they are teaching you when you learn psychology and sociology. That is a good combination of psychology and sociology. Number one is teaching you is a good listening skills. Normally people love to keep on talking, just like me. Sometimes, not all the times, but yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much. This was a very eye-opener and we really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I need to find out how to deal with anxiety.
How to deal with what?
Anxiety.
Each one has a different way to deal with it. What kind of anxiety you have, it depends on that. If you would like to talk, you can email me, and Dr. Gandhi will put my number on the chat, because anxiety is like a blanket statement. You have anxiety for one thing, which I don't. So how do we deal with that? It is very subjective. We can discuss on one-on-one. If you can give me, if you can send me an email, and I will definitely get in touch with you, and we'll get into it.
So should I type in the chat box my email address?
No.
I will share her email address. Kalpnaben, can you spell it out so I'll type it in at the same time?
Yes, my first name Kalpnas at hotmail.com.
Hotmail.com. I just typed it in the chat for everybody. We also have another question, Kalpnaben. And the question is, she said, you said you built your self-esteem from ground up. What did you do to build your self-esteem?
What did I do to build my self-esteem? It's a long journey, I tell you that. In the beginning, number one, to make a transition from 2 to 1 is difficult. And that requires support. And like I said, if there are plenty of things. First, you need to decide, do you want to get out of this? Do you want to get out of this, or you want to stay? Like I gave you the example that the day I felt lousy and not to get out and do anything, right? But I did it. I did it. Same thing like here. If you want to do something, if you decide that you want to get out of this, you can get help. And what was the question again? Can you repeat?
It was about self-esteem and what were there,
Yes.
are there any specific examples?
Self-esteem will come with number one, when whatever you commit to yourself, do it. And that the self-esteem will come right from there. That is like charity begins from home. And this is your home, that you commit to yourself. Tomorrow morning, you decide that I'm going to start to wake up early in the morning at 8 o'clock. For me, early is 8 o'clock. Fine. Do that. Stick with your commitment. That will slowly and slowly build up your self-confidence, self-esteem. And once you slowly and slowly start doing it, then you would want to look good. If you don't want to look good, make sure you dress up well, you meet people. Those things are very important to be. Don't ever, like again I said, don't stay alone. Even if you don't like it, push yourself to get there. And that will help you build up your self-confidence. And ultimately, if nothing works for you, don't be ashamed. Go get a help like I did. You know, we have a stigma. Oh, if I go to psychiatrist, હું ગાંડી નથી, મારે psychiatrist ની જરૂર નથી. That's the first thing come to our mind. If somebody tells you that, oh, did you go to psychiatrist? Does that mean she has a mental problem? No, accept your weaknesses and your strength. That is the basic thing to build your self-esteem. Once you know your weakness, and again, go back to the point, one of the point, that try to find try to find your fear and work on it individually. That is how you will be able to build up your self-confidence. Like I said, my fear was darkness. Remember? Same thing, if you have any fear, specify that, work on that. If you don't know how to, get help, outside help, paid help, anywhere. Number one, you need to commit to yourself that I'm not going to allow myself in this situation because I don't deserve that. God has given me this life for a purpose. How can I destroy that? By staying home and being in a bed? No, I cannot allow myself to do that.
Kalpnaben, that's such a great point. Yes, that definitely makes sense. It's such a great point that you brought up of committing to yourself and then making sure it happens to increase your self-esteem. I want to reiterate that point. Commit to something, whatever it is, even if it's a little small goal that you want. And once you finish it, you will definitely increase your self-esteem and you'll start feeling more confident about yourself. So we have a few more questions. Let's see. Actually, there's a really great comment. Someone said that they've known you for more than 50 years, but today they learned a little bit more from you and a little bit more about you. So that was a really good comment.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's
Thank
me,
you.
Kalpna.
Oh, thank you, Jayashree. Thank you.
Another question is, what do you think helped you the most in dealing with your situation? Was it meditation or spiritual guidance, or was there anything else?
It's a black and white answer. My guru, Pujya Shri Girish Bhai's guidance, spirituality. That's it. Because I found happiness from within. You don't look outside for happiness.
Yeah, that's a very key point.
Whether you are Mercedes, Rolls-Royce, or Camry, you are fine. As long as it takes me from one place to another, I'm happy.
Yes, yes. Meena Ben Choksi, you have your hand up. Please go ahead.
Kalpnaben, I know it takes a lot of courage to come on this social platform, and we're really thankful for doing this. what was one good reason? What was the reason you wanted to do this? Is this for the community, or is this to let out? What was the one good reason why you wanted to do this?
Meena, the main reason I wanted to do is to break an ice. It is very, very hard to talk about yourself. And being alone, people think there is something wrong. If you are alone, like I said earlier in my talk, that people look down on you. Forget about people. You also feel that, oh, you are alone. If you go anywhere, you feel something is missing in life. I wanted people to know there is nothing wrong in it being alone. Think as a freedom, because you have to accept the situation, whatever you are in. And that was the message I wanted to give it to people, and to especially for all single men or women. It goes for everyone, same thing.
Thank you, Kalpnaben. Meena-ben, I actually want to thank you so much for making this session happen and spreading the word and sharing with everybody. You've played a very integral part in this session and making it happen. So again, thank you so much, Meena-ben.
Thank you.
Can I say
Thank
something?
you.
Dr.
Please.
Trivedi.
Last, Meena.
Dr. Trivedi.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Kalpna.
Meena has an amazing persistency that cannot match with anybody. Once she takes something in her hand, she will make sure that it goes through all the way. And she made this possible. And I appreciate that.
It takes a lot of courage.
My resistance.
It takes a lot of courage to do this, and we are thankful to both of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Meena. Thank you.
Dr. Trivedi, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. I'm going to meet Kalpna Bhabhi at Starbucks whenever I am in trouble.
Coffee will be on me.
Done.
Yes.
Thank you. Sibir, please go ahead.
Who?
Her name is Sibir. I don't know what her full name is, but feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask the question. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, I'm Vasu Pawar, and I had quite a different kind of a question for you.
No problem.
Talk about independence, it comes from many different ways. You might be married and you still need to understand that your independence is very important, because that's a lesson we all learned by being single. So while you're married, try to learn things like Kalpnaben said that she knew nothing, although she worked for a bank, she knew nothing about the home banking. So that's just something we all need to learn, that, try to learn this from the very beginning and not wait for some mishap to happen to learn these things. So all of us need to be smarter for the future of generations and for the future of the women, that mishaps can happen anytime. And so try to be independent and self-sufficient. My case was a little different from yours. I have a different story to tell. Maybe I'll tell you some other time, because I was always working. I was the breadwinner, so it's completely different from your story. And I don't want to take everybody's time, because my story is complete.
You can email me.
Yeah.
And we'll be in touch.
What I'm saying is that, you have to try to be smarter in the next generation, the next world, and we can be who we used to be, dependent upon the man, or the men depending upon the women. It doesn't work that way, because one of the two is gone, you have a problem with it. So that's why the next generation, the guys are learning how to cook also, and that's the reason, is because you can't depend upon anybody. So
that is not the thing for the new generation. That is the problem that we have discussed today is for our generations only. The reason being, we all came from India, and our goal in our life was in our parents. Chokri amuk umari thai parnavo. We are dependent on our husband most of the time for financial reasons. So we need to understand, make our payments, learn how to balance our passbook, how to manage your whatever of own affairs, because we have been dependent on our husband. I asked many of my good friends, and they said, I don't know, he does everything. Well, I don't know what is my payment. I mean, I was the same way. That is why I gave the examples that I did not even know how to fill up the gas in my car. That was the most, like you said, most important point for our generation. Now is the time. I'm sure we are all 50 and up. It's about time that we learn things to do on our own rather than being dependent, because when you become from 2 to 1, the situation will be overwhelming regardless. And if you are independent that way, it will help you in transition. That's what I'm saying. The new generation, they both are smart, husband and wife, boys and girls. They are making their own money. They don't have problem. Is our generation. And that is why I wanted to address these points. Like Meena Choksi said, why I wanted to let people know that these things are very important and we can do it.
Thank you, Kalpnaben. We have Bansri Doshi. She has a few comments as well. If you don't mind unmuting yourself and sharing.
Yeah, well, I know Kalpna before we even had children, right? Kalpna, in Hollywood.
Yes.
Anyways,
Yes.
I just learned, and I think I have talked to you. I have lived with you also when I was working in Orange County, if you remember.
Yes.
So you were very, very encouraging, very supporting. I just have one comment that I learned, and that is anyone, once in a while, when we go through depression, the best thing is to get out of that place, whether bed, sofa, whatever, and just go around. It really changes. Besides, I learned also from, of course, Girish Bhai, our Jain Dharma, and my guru, that peace and happiness is within. And once you start learning that, like in COVID, I don't even feel that I am at home or I'm in jail. I can find so many things to do. But every time I feel I should just go within. It's not that easy, but I do make up my mind. Hey, let me be busy. Let me do this. And I don't feel I am in the jail because of COVID. That's one thing. Thank you, Dr.
Gandhi.
Thank you, Bansri Ben. Thank you so much.
I
No
have
problem.
a very different story one time. I will let you know. Very,
Sure.
very, very different of my life.
Sure,
Very
sure. We'll definitely talk later.
Yeah, and Vipassana also we learned that everything is temporary. Any situation, any person come in your life, your mood, everything is temporary. The only permanent is our own pure, powerful soul. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I want to point everybody to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can watch more of these sessions. All these sessions go live on Zoom, on my Facebook page, and my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is, you could search for Varun Gandhi, Dr. Varun Gandhi, or What's Your Story, and you should be able to find my YouTube channel. So please subscribe. I'd love for everyone to be a subscriber to the channel. We also have another comment by, let's see, where was it? By Kanan. He says, I'm a retired psychiatrist by profession. I feel it is okay for some single people to feel free and happy after losing their spouse. And he also had a couple of questions. He had one question. He says, what do you think of single people over 50-year-olds meeting a mate?
Asking me?
Yeah, he was asking you.
Yes. Yes. All power to you. Go for it. You deserve, remember, I have a right to be happy. Go for it. Your husband who died or wife who died wants you to be happy too. So do it.
That's a great answer. Great answer.
One question,
yes.
Comment.
Please. Go ahead.
Myself, Kalpna, when we worked with Jain Center for almost 40 years, over 40 years together and whatnot. So we know each other very well. But one thing after hearing our culture, we have to make sure that our culture, the way we brought up back home and we came here, that generation have this issue more. And the reason is we brought up with the thinking in our mind that koi shu kaise. whatever the step you want to take in your life, first thing we think, koi shu vichar che, mara saga, mitro, koi bhi. Very first thing people think that. And because of that, even last person we talk, I mean, you talk, single, you want to just mingle with anybody else. First thing, koi vato karse. That's because I've been through, I'm telling you. So that is a difficult time for people to take some step, even though they want to. So the best thing is, don't worry about anybody else. Everybody's goal should be that yourself. Look at yourself. Let them worry about it. If you worry about others, then you cannot be happy, period. And second thing, all the men in this group, if you are with your wife, start making them to understand that household is not only for her and the financing is not only for you guys. It has to be so. You make them to learn, even if you think, but sometimes so that is the attitude some people have. Don't keep that attitude, you know. She makes the money or not money, different story, but make her part of your financing. Let her know what is going on. If something happens to you, for God's sake, she don't know nothing and she's dependent on some strangers. Very difficult situation, I'm telling you. I've been to myself, because I'm a man, but I've been to myself, but I also help people. The single woman, they became because of they lost and they don't know what to do, where to go. Banking, this and that, a lot of things, you know. Insurance, they don't even know whether they have insurance or not. So what I'm saying, keep them knowledgeable. You have insurance, where's the paper, what is what is not. Otherwise they get in trouble, believe me. Right. I was involved with few families like that, and I know exactly what the situation is. So this is very, very important. So starting today, if you are not doing it, please, my humble request, let your wife know, explain her, and if husband has no knowledge, anything, give him the same thing. Teach him how to make rice or dal. I mean, there's nothing wrong, you know. I mean, it's very important.
That's a very good point. That's
what my thought, and I'm telling you all this from my own experience, plus my own involvement with a few people in my life. And there are few that they are separating, almost done. And it was only very small thing. But then I got involved. They called me. He wants me to kick me out and all that. So I get there. We resolve the issue. They are happily living for last 23 years now. And no problem. Everything is happy. What I'm saying, sometimes it's not a big deal. So it's not every time the things are worse. It just happens.
I agree with you, Yogesh.
You have to understand each other.
I agree with you, Yogesh. Whatever you said, we got the point. Absolutely, you are right. I'm with you, Yogesh. Thank you.
It's a very good point, Yogesh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have a couple of members in the audience who have raised their hands. So if you don't mind, iPhone, I don't know what your name is.
Pradeep Bhai hand is up.
iPhone, if you don't mind unmuting yourself and asking the question. And we'll get to Pradeep Bhai very soon.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi,
okay, go ahead.
Kalpna, you did a great job, and the information you gave us, it's not only for the single women, but it's even for the married couple. So this information will be really very, very useful for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Please use it and spread it. Whoever can be benefit from it.
Thank you. So Pradeep Bhai, go ahead.
Now we will have a dinner at your house and you will give us a counseling too.
Anytime. Starbucks.
Hello. I really enjoyed seeing Kalpnaben shine through this interview. It was amazing. But the main reason I want to speak up is what she brought up many times all through her conversation was the spiritual connection she has had all these years, particularly Girish Bhai, but in general Jainism and all the sadharmics around her. It is amazing how many right kind of doors open when you are in such a spiritual environment. Because there is no selfishness involved in it and all the right things happen. So I recommend that to everybody. Whether you're married or single or old or young, makes no difference. Spend your time in spirituality and everything will work out just fine.
That is true. It says person is known by the company he keeps.
So that's all I wanted to say.
Pratibhai.
Thank you so much, Pradeep. That was such a beautiful message.
It's a solution for all problems.
It definitely is. I completely agree with you. That's how I got out of my problems too, and my suffering and my unhappiness. Spirituality. That's it.
Yes. Thank you.
Go ahead, iPad. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, this is Naina. Kalpna, thank you for your exposure and authenticity. Thank you for your exposure and authenticity. This is you have shone a light on so many issues for the whole community, and I hope people will have the courage to follow at least few points on what you had to say. And I really appreciate what you are doing, because as an Indian community of our generation, we all need to wake up and not put everything under the rug like we do. So I appreciate, I thank you, I honor you for what you've done, and I cherish your friendship. Thank you.
Thank you, Naina. Thank you so much. Appreciate.
Thank you. We have one more raised hand. If you want to unmute yourself and ask your question. All right, I guess they're not there. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. This has been a fabulous session with Kalpnaben. All of us got to learn so much from her. Kalpnaben, thank you so much for sharing, for being so vulnerable, for giving your life, personal details, and sharing so many stories that can help everyone on this call. Thank you so much, Kalpnaben.
Thank you for having me, and I hope this will work, and some people, some viewers, it can help in their life. And
Definitely.
if anybody wants to contact me, they can always email me and we can take it from there.
Yes, please feel free to email Kalpnaben. Also, I have a YouTube link that will be available once we close this live. So I will share it with Kalpnaben, with Meenaben. Please feel free to reach out to them, or you could go to my website and contact me anytime. Feel free, and I will share the YouTube link with you as well. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This has been a fabulous program with Kalpnaben. We got to learn a lot, and I got to learn a lot personally from her life. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And Jai Janendra.
Thank you. Thank you, Jai Janendra. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren.
Thank you, Kalpna.
Thank you, Kalpna. Thank you, Varsha.
Thank
you.
Thank you,
Meena.
Kalpna.
Thank you, Kalpna. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Kalpna.
everybody. Thank you.
Now next time we meet.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Varun
Meena.
and Bhai.
Good job.
Great job,
Yes.
Kalpna.
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you for
Okay,
arranging.
thanks a
Thank you.
lot,
Hope it can
Kalpna
help
and
some.
Dr. Varun
Thank you,
Bhai.
Kalpna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Proud of you.
Kalpnaben. Good
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kalpna.
Kalpna,
Thank you
great
all.
job.
Thank you,
Kalpna,
Kalpna.
this is Rekha.